Cleveland's going to probably, they can't get some draft. Nobody's going to want to trade for him. But if Cleveland wants to trade, or they can trade, then I think they need to lower their value, or they're going to have to release Baker Mayfield. It is what Panthers and the Browns are kind of in the same position to me. You got quarterbacks who nobody want, even though there hasn't been like a trade market for Darnold, and he's already been traded once, so nobody's want to take that again. At least Baker Mayfield hasn't been traded yet, and can try to see what he can do in a newer system. But
we could jump into that, right? So to be honest, there's no market.
No.
There's no market for Baker Mayfield. And here's the shocking thing. I thought there was going to be. We had this discussion. I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, he's like, I want to get Indy. Indy was like, no. Which this, what, and I think I want to get Corey's thoughts on this, but I think Matt Ryan is an adult. He fits. He's an adult. And I think they already had Carson Wentz, and they're like, I'd rather go with somebody who plays 3 years, right? Even Matt Ryan, I feel like Matt Ryan probably will pay about 3 to 4 more years. And
at least 2, yeah.
Yeah, at least 2, right? But then Baker, he got into it with the coaching staff. I don't know if he's a locker room guy. I just know that if y'all wanted Baker, you would have traded for him. But I think Matt Ryan kind of fits you more. And I think that Matt Ryan gives you a better chance to make the playoffs.
Well, I think part of what hurts Cleveland is the fact that, one, as I believe we talked last week, they started trashing Baker Mayfield publicly.
Yeah.
So it's like right there goes any leverage in a trade. 2, it sounds like they were demanding a first-round pick in exchange for Baker Mayfield, which is just absolutely insane. And 3, they waited until a good chunk of the quarterback market was settled before Baker becomes available. And when you wait that long into the offseason, you kind of sit at a point and it's like either you commit to hanging on to him and letting him be the backup, which they're not doing because they signed Jacoby Brissett to be the backup, or you essentially just give Baker away because it gets $18 million off your cap. And if that means you trade him for a 6th round pick, then so what? You got the guy you wanted in Deshaun Watson. You get rid of the cap. It works out. Like trying to actually demand and flip him for something like a more valuable draft pick just makes no sense. And Cleveland has completely botched the Mayfield situation from the start.
Yeah, because I'm thinking they're going to go, when they asking for a first is absurd.
Yeah.
Because Matt Ryan didn't go for a first. He's not Russell Wilson. Okay.
Oh.
Like, I don't understand what market. Carson Wentz went with 2/3. What did Matt Ryan go for? A third? 4th? Or was it a 4th?
A third.
A third.
Just a 3rd round pick. Straight up, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll say I think another element of this is that Cleveland can't just cut Baker unless they just want to get rid of him, because cutting him, they still take the full cap hit, just like Carolina would with Sam Darnold.
$18 million. Craig, what do you think? Think they're going to release him?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I just think if they can't find somebody who was willing on to trade for him, I think you just have to suck it up and just cut him. Like, at the end of the day, if you can't find nobody that wants to actually trade for this guy, I guess they can hold on to him for how long they can. Maybe because I don't know if Baker really wants to go back to that situation with everything that's happened. No. Even if Deshaun is suspended for, say, 6 games, you could easily keep Baker there and have him play for those 6 games, and then before the trade deadline, try to find have him, go out there and maybe have 10 touchdowns and like 3 interceptions and bring up his trade stock even more than what it is, because right now it's nothing. If he goes out there and maybe he can ball for 6 games, I doubt he's going to do it, because I don't think he's going to kill the locker room, man. Your locker room. I'm just trying to figure out best case scenario for the Browns. If they can't find a trade partner,
they're going to have to release
and start of the season.
Best case scenario is trading him for like a 6th round pick and agreeing to eat half his salary. So at least you save some money, but you're going to have to pay some of his salary this year, and you're not going to get a very high.
They can afford it. Deshaun Watson they minimize his contract this year because he's going to get suspended. So they're saying Roger Goodell might wait, let Deshaun play this year, and suspend him next year to get some of that money. That's what they're saying. And another thing they're saying is Roger Goodell is waiting, just like Dan Snyder, and trying to see if it goes swept underneath the rug. But that's stupid.
I mean, the NFL absolutely wants to do whatever's going to minimize the headlines.
He's kind of hope it goes away. But
when it comes to
it's not going away.
No,
it just lost
like
Anheuser-Busch. I wake up, I looked the other day, it lost. You're not getting any Anheuser-Busch beer. I don't think that's Coors Light or Budweiser or Bud Light in the stadium. They said they're done with the Washington football, done with the Commanders because of the allegations and a toxic workplace with women.
The radio station cut ties.
You said, huh?
The radio station in DC cut ties with the team too.
Yep. And a medical, one of their medical providers. So it's not going away. I don't know what Goodell is thinking it is, but anyway, I just, unfortunately, I know it sucks for Baker because it is nothing like being NFL will humble you quick, man.
Yeah. Because there were two teams that I thought about that might be, because right now, look, Carolina, Seattle are the only ones that don't have a guy penciled in. Right now. I think interesting options if Cleveland got desperate and was willing to take on a good chunk of his salary this year could be Detroit. I feel like Baker would get along with the head coach there.
That's what Mike Florio said.
Name I'm spacing on.
Yeah.
And I think Tennessee would be an interesting option. Because maybe do with Tannehill the same thing you did with Marcus Mariota with Ryan Tannehill. Bring in another guy just to compete. Because if you could trade for Baker and out of his 18 million, say Cleveland pays 14 of it, so you could have essentially just a veteran backup price tag on him. Worth a shot. Your championship window is closing quickly, so
I don't think Baker's going to go anywhere and be a back. I don't think he wants to go anywhere and be a backup. I think if he has his way, he'll just either get traded to. Well, so I need to know where he can go. Either he'll get traded to Carolina or Seattle, which I doubt.
No.
Or there's like 5 teams that I can see maybe that, because there's teams that I don't think are 100% convinced that there's their quarterback. I think they're giving them one more year, like the Giants, the Texans. Who else is out there? Like the Falcons. Like I don't think these teams are convinced that they have their guy. Maybe they'll go out and draft somebody or something like that. But and then you got like Miami and Philly. Like I don't know if they're really 100% sold on their quarterbacks either. Even though Hurts just led them to the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's going to be options out there. If not for this year, probably for next year. If Mr. Trubisky just got a job being a starting quarterback, and Marcus Mariota did too. I think Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold did too. I think Baker Mayfield can get another starting job sometime. Yeah. If it ain't this year, it'll be next year.
It has to be.
It's got to be humbling for him, though.
It has to be humbling because he was the first pick. Same with Sam Darnold. Like, and at this point, he has to know, like, I have one more shot. Well, no, I'm corrected. He might have another one.
I think he's still young.
Because Carson Wentz got another one. Here's the thing. If this happened 2 months ago, I don't know if the Commanders don't get him.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance that if either Ryan or Mayfield hit the market earlier, I absolutely think DC takes a shot on them before Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is, Craig, what'd you say?
I'd rather have Carson Wentz than have Baker Mayfield.
That's fair.
I would. I don't think Baker Mayfield's good. I've been saying that for a while. I just don't think.
No, you don't. You know who agrees with you? Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp says he's overrated.
I think he's very overrated.
I've had a year of Carson Wentz. I'd rather have a next year be Baker Mayfield than Carson.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm looking at more and more. Somebody was like, I was just listening to this today, and I was telling Craig, they were like, Mitch Trubisky is better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. He has better wins. They're almost the same quarterback. So if you would take Baker, you would take Mitch.
I test alone.
The only difference is Baker might have a better arm, but Mitch Trubisky has a better record. They have the same completion percentage.
He's more athletic. I think he's more mobile than
Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. So just
Trubisky wasn't in Cleveland, so I'm not sure I'm gonna go on record alone.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's a lot of people that think Baker
Mayfield. Both had bad coaches. They both had bad situations. Like bad. I think Baker Mayfield had a better offense. I mean, he had a better offensive line. He had two good really good running backs.
And he had Odell.
Two good wide receivers. A solid tight end. Then he bought another tight end in there. It was, but I mean, he had two tight ends. I don't know what else you could give him. And he had a defense that was decent. I don't know.
I mean, the last 2 years, he's in a better situation. Yeah. Trubisky was in a significantly better situation the first 2 years.
Yeah, but I just think the point is they're really almost the same. And Mitch Trubisky, and this is what it's saying, Baker might go into camp as a backup.
That's what Trubisky did. Former number one pick.
That's what he did for a year.
He was second.
He went to Buffalo. Sat for a year. Now they're saying that Pittsburgh, if Trubisky gets released, Pittsburgh is going to want him.
Want Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, that's a report. If Baker were to get cut outright, which I don't think Cleveland would do, I think Cleveland would eat most of his salary and trade him somewhere before outright releasing him and allowing him to go within the division to Pittsburgh.
Yep, they're going to eat it. They're going to be like, we're not going anymore. They're going to eat it, and they can afford it because they just pushed Deshaun Watson.
Might as well let him go. Let him go to Pittsburgh. Let him go over there and throw.
Here's the thing about Pittsburgh. They got Mr. Trubisky, so that'll be an interesting competition. The ceiling is like.
I mean, you bring them both in, yeah. You make it an open competition. Winner gets the job, and
then what if they draft Malik Willis?
You cut Mason Rudolph.
It'll be like, what are y'all doing? So,
Malik Willis ain't going to be there for Pittsburgh, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think he was there for Pittsburgh. If you already got two veteran quarterbacks, I wouldn't take.
I just been hearing reports. Pittsburgh's like Malik Willis for a while now. I keep hearing that. I've heard it like before he even had his pro day. It's just I keep hearing it over and over again. Like, don't be surprised if he's there at 20.
Yeah, unless the buzz over Willis is just way off base versus the actual NFL evaluation, I think Willis has gone well before Pittsburgh could get to him.
Yeah.
I kept hearing people today say, why don't they just trade him to Houston? And I was like, well, if Houston really wanted Baker Mayfield, they would have traded him when they traded for Deshaun Watson. Why would they now all of a sudden make another trade? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Oh, Baker Mayfield would have been included in the trade, but
that's what I was saying. Like, I don't understand what they were talking about. They kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Sense.
And if I'm Houston, I saw enough out of Davis Mills last year that I'm willing to go into next year to see what you got. Because if it works out, you got your franchise quarterback. If it doesn't, you're going to have a top pick.
Yes. You're going to have a top pick with a loaded young roster. It's a win-win. We're going high. I think a lot of teams, and hopefully I'm right about Carolina, Craig, that I think there's probably around 4 or 5 good quarterbacks that teams like Atlanta, Carolina, Seattle, Houston are kind of going to be, we could maybe throw Detroit, but Detroit might trade that out. You kind of throw those looking for quarterbacks next year, and it might be a quarterback draft.
Next year?
The Giants? You throw the Giants in there too?
Giants,
or the Colts in there?
The Colts.
Or Washington in there?
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
There's a
It's a handful of teams.
One thing
handful of teams
that I have thought about is that quarterbacks might fall this year because so many teams are looking at next year's class.
Yep.
So, but we'll see.
You better hope it's not 2016. Was it 2016?
16 with EJ Manuel?
EJ Manuel? Because there were no good quarterbacks in that class.
That entire class was just garbage.
No good
I think Mike Glennon was the best quarterback in that class.
Yeah. Was Geno Smith taken?
Yeah.
You're back.
Geno was second round.
I was surprised, Craig. I went back and looked at that draft. I was like, it has to be a good quarterback. There were none, Craig. There were none. Geno Smith, I don't even think Geno Smith is still a backup. He's in Seattle. He's good. Mike Glennon's a backup. He's good. But there's no starters, Craig.
That's it.
I was shocked. I was like, yeah, I hope this draft doesn't end up like that. That'll be that. Maybe that's why so many people, so many teams are getting quarterbacks.
Well, it's only 3 that's probably going in the first round that I can think of.
Keep looking at drafts. Yeah. They keep sliding. I would be worried if I was a quarterback because now I don't think Atlanta's going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to go in the season with Mariota.
I mean, they did say that they were. They did say they were still interested in upgrading the position. So I don't think I would exclude them with a quarterback and maybe at 8, but at the top of round 2, I could see them.
I can see. Now I can see the end of 1, top of round 2. You might see a,
run on them.
I don't. Besides Carolina, okay, Atlanta. Anybody else that needs a quarterback?
Seattle
this year.
Seattle? I don't know, man. I think Seattle is gonna. They don't do this in the NFL, Craig. But I think Seattle's going in with Drew Lock as their starter, and they're gonna wait till next year. I'm dead serious.
Hey.
I think they're going to draft like a either offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, or like a safety in a corner, and I think they're gonna go in with Drew Lock, and they're gonna end up having like a top 3 pick next year.
They need to trade Tyler Lockett before the draft.
Yeah. Trade Metcalf.
He's
Metcalf an extension.
They need to give one of them 2 to Seattle. Well, they're not. I mean, not Seattle, but Green Bay. Probably not going to do that.
No.
But
I mean, Lockett's. I think he's making $10 million this year. I believe he turned 30.
He's a good receiver.
But he's not necessarily a speed guy. He runs really good routes. He's quick, but I think his game is one that'll translate a little longer into his career. And you trade him for like a 3 or a 4 or something, and get some value, because if you're taking like Tyler Lockett does nothing for this year.
They're not gonna do it. They're not. They're gonna. I'm telling you, man. They're gonna. I don't think I take.
You extend Metcalf because he's young. You trade Lockett, and if you really want to tank, Drew Lock is a great way to do that.
Listen, if the reports, because think about it, why didn't they get Baker Fitzpatrick there?
I think they still might.
Baker Mayfield was going to go. I was like, okay, they got Deshaun. Baker's probably going to go to the Colts. Nope. Colts got Matt Ryan. All right, got to go to Seattle. Seattle says no, they're going in with Drew Lock.
Well, so I did see a report that Seattle was saying that Cleveland would have to eat some of Baker's salary.
So you think they're waiting for the release?
I don't think they're waiting for the release. I think they're waiting for Cleveland to, one, have a reasonable offer. If demanding a first was even close to
wild for that.
True, because that's just insane. But I think they're trying to get the Browns to eat as much of the salary as they possibly can. Because right now, between now and the draft, there's no rush for Seattle to move. If anything, there's just a little pressure on Cleveland to get a deal done, just to clear up some cap space to get a few more pieces back in the fold with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, there's no pressure.